The Weeknd is one of the most influential R&B artists of our time. He's been called our generation's Michael Jackson, as he smashes charts and is recognized from kids in their early teens to elders. Even in your average car ride, you'll probably hear The Weeknd come on a radio station, waiting rooms, clubs, and even in theaters you'll probably find The Weeknd. But how did this icon of a star find his way from the streets of Toronto to Forbes list? Is what I thought to myself as his new album After Hours came out on the 20th. I've been listening to The Weeknd since early 2013. I caught him at the Budweiser stage in Toronto in September of 2014, being one of the greatest concerts I've ever attended. I was initially caught onto his music whenever I listened to the Pharrell remix of Wonderlust from Kissland. The Morning and Loft music were also shown to me by one of my friends, and I was hooked. Growing up in the Toronto area, it's different seeing a city native blow up. You hear them on the radio stations, you hear friends of friends who knew of him, they exist within places that are all too familiar to you. Hometown support is something that is a backbone to any artist, and shying away from this aspect can really hurt their roots. But The Weeknd is all too vocal about Toronto. At the mere age of 17, he left home and dropped out of high school, convincing his friend Lamar to do the same. They grabbed their mattresses from their parents and threw it into their friend's shitty van and left one weekend, and never came back home. Between these years, he would couch surf a ton, and would find a one-bedroom loft, 65 Spencer, South Parkdale, the inspiration for the House of Balloons mixtape. He himself claimed how important the House of Balloons was to him, because there was no timeline or pressure. He created on his own schedule for the year, and birthed the mixtape. But eviction soon came while living at 65 Spencer. Afterwards, his roommates continued to couch surf and bed hop. When he needed a place to stay, he would tell a girl that he loved her. Loft Music, The Morning, What You Need were the first singles released by Abel. The Weeknd went on to officially releasing the House of Balloons from his once inspired one-bedroom loft in Parkdale, getting recognition from Oliver, co-founder of OVO, and was featured on the notorious October's Very Own blog, later going on to release Thursday and Echoes of Silence, which created the critically acclaimed trilogy, signed under Republic Records. Although this technically answers how The Weeknd came into fame, it doesn't answer how he made it into Forbes list. 3 free mixtapes later and being featured on Take Care still didn't necessarily create a footprint in the music industry, and he likely could have faded at this time like many artists do. He went on to create Kissland, his debut studio album, selling 263,000 copies, which he himself was unimpressed from. He also landed a song Love Me Harder with Ariana Grande in 2014. But real fame didn't come around for The Weeknd until Beauty Behind the Madness. But why? Earned It was the debut and leading single from the album, which was featured and created for 50 Shades of Grey. If you think of it, where else did The Weeknd belong commercially, other than America's biggest erotic romantic film? Through Earned It, The Weeknd created a lead to his album, a trail from the film to figure out what he was all about. As stated in the beginning and present day, he is recognized from kids in their early teens to elders. The Weeknd blew up by marketing himself through the demographic of age. Even before his release, The Hills and I Can't Feel My Face were both chart-topping hits. Who can release a song about cocaine numbing their face, yet have a soccer mom in her van singing lyric to lyric, other than The Weeknd? Through Beauty Behind the Madness, he found how to voice his haunting strip club music commercially, becoming one of the first chart-topping songs about cocaine since the 80s. Beauty Behind the Madness went on to sell 13 times more copies than Kissland, at a whopping 3.6 million sales worldwide. It was fueled by the success of 50 Shades of Grey and made The Weeknd a household name, within half a decade of making music. The Weeknd went on to rebrand himself by cutting his hair, with a massive debut on Starboy, which has now surpassed over 1 billion listens on Spotify. He also collaborated with Daft Punk, a legendary status that many musicians can only dream of. Collaborating with Kendrick Lamar on Sidewalks, he states,
"Homeless to Forbes list, these niggas bring no stress."
Where year after year he would be placed on Forbes list, with an exponentially growing net worth, all within half a decade. 2 years later, The Weeknd released My Dear Melancholy, his first EP, debuting at the #1 spot on the Billboard 200 with 169,000 first week units moved, pivoting back to his dark R&B style that his old fans know too well. This EP was about his past relationships and failing to be there, and letting go from his breakup. And considering that it was an EP, 169,000 first week units moved is definitely still impressive. Then Chapter 6 came, After Hours, set to release in March of 2020, a brain-melting psychotic chapter as he stated on Twitter. After Hours screams the 80s. From looks to synths, it's hard to say that anyone else is creating the 80s better than The Weeknd. I can confidently say that through After Hours, he satisfies each of his targeted age demographics successfully. Not only this, but both Trilogy and newer fans can find songs that fill their need within the album. It is unclear what will come within the next few months through the album, and if it'll bring him closer to the Michael Jackson fame than ever before. Only time will tell if Chapter 6 will give him the next jump like Beauty Beyond the Madness created for his career. But I can happily say as a big fan, I'm blown away through the first week of listening to this album. Thank you guys so much for watching, and although we've seen The Weeknd go from homeless to Forbes list, do you think he'll successfully be one of the greatest artists of our time? Please drop a like down below, and until next time guys.